The concept of evil absolutely fascinates me. It's always done since a very young age. I remember when my dad first told me, James, you have to pay taxes. And even as a young teenager, the idea just bamboozled me. I couldn't understand it, how some stranger was entitled to steal from me, to violate my rights. I didn't explicitly understand that, but implicitly I knew it was just wrong. That no one has the right to take money from me against my will, and to proclaim it as law, and that it is noble, virtuous, and the right thing to do. It is morally correct to steal from other people. And I just knew that there was something wrong with this world, very, very wrong, and especially with the whole 2020 situation. That's when everything started to click for me. And I realized, wow, I actually had no idea how evil the world really is. And I started to uncover the agendas, the stories, the schemes, the plans of people who are so evil, we just can hardly comprehend it. Each time you uncover a new conspiracy, it blows your mind. Like, it goes down to a new, deep, dark level that you just don't think is possible. I think that if you don't have any understanding of evil, you're just not living in reality. And unfortunately, that's the majority of humanity, is so hoodwinked into living into this fairy tale, they doubt the very existence of evil. So that's what I want to talk about in this video, is what I've learned so far about what evil really is. I want to share my definition, some short explanations about evil, and I've got an 11-line axis of evil, of how to rate evil. And I've got 11 different types of people, from the Callow King, who I talk about as the head of the cabal, from the Pope and politicians and police down to voters and Christians and bums. I'm going to put all these people and rank them onto an axis of evil so we can get a general idea of the evil of people. And why this is so important is, so one, you can recognize evil and stay away from it, and two, so you can not be evil yourself and be good, because good is good for you. You can't be happy being evil. I don't think you can. Because really, how can you be happy being a hypocritical, contradictory monster? It doesn't sound like a healthy or happy way to live. So my definition of evil, and this is still a working definition, it's not absolutely precise at this point, but number one is the desire to cause harm to the innocent. That's what evil is. Number two is action existing on a continuum from evasion to cruelty, measured by the detriment it causes to oneself or others' proper survival. And so proper survival is essentially just the pursuit and achievement of happiness and health. Number three is the inversion of what is good and its resulting harmful consequences. So that is evil, such as dishonesty, which is an inversion of honesty, dishonour, opposite to honour, irrationality, contrast to rationality, irresponsibility to responsibility, so on and so forth. For all the virtues, it just turns everything, flips everything upside down, turns reality into fantasy, fantasy into reality. It's an inverting system. Number four, the absence of consideration, care or compassion for oneself or others' proper survival. Number five is malicious, willful intention to cause pain or damage. Or you could continue to say misery and suffering. That's what evil is. That's what evil does. Number six is indifferent disregard for the well-being of oneself or others. And seven, lacking empathy and love. So that is my definition of evil. I hope everything else I say about evil from here on in can be related back to that core definition, but there's still, evil is such a complex topic. There's so many different facets of it. I mean, I just can't understand how people don't even think evil exists. Well, I do. It's because they've been so mind-controlled and deceived by evil, they're not actually living in reality. They're living in the matrix, in a philosophical, legal, every kind of mental fantasy world possible. They're not in reality. If you don't even think evil exists, or understand how it is absolutely dominating the world, and for all of apparent and recorded history, evil is always in control, it's always dominating, and always seems to be the most powerful force that is controlling the world and influencing the direction. It always seems to have a plan, and when I say it as in evil, I mean all the people who do evil. They always seem to have a plan, and they always seem to be advancing that agenda step by step by step, and it might get rebutted or pushed back in one direction, but they just move forward in a different direction, like a spider, just its 8 legs, just always going out in some direction, moving and conquering and destroying people's ability to think. Well, because you can say in one way that's the prime evil, is to destroy people's ability to think, because when people can think, well, evil can't exist. There is no evil. Evil only happens when people stop thinking or don't know how to think properly, and they abandon thinking and reason for faith and feeling and hopes and wishes. That's how evil gets a foothold into the world, because people are intellectually lazy, apathetic, indifferent, uncaring. They have no self-respect, no self-esteem. They've been convinced to believe that they are worthless, a sinner. We'll get into that with more detail later, especially about how religion has caused such great damage to people's psychology, practically eaten their soul. So why do I care about evil? Why should you? Because those who are ignorant of evil, your way of life is sucking the life out of you. It's eating your soul, ripping you apart from the inside out. You're destroying the world with your false beliefs, and you're terrorizing me with the fantastical things that you believe. You know, how is someone who is just believing in evil things, how are they terrorizing me? Well, voters. We'll get to that in a moment. And it's so frustrating, because I need to highlight the point here that there's basically 2 categories of evil. There's like the clueless dependent parasites who need to feed and latch on to the knowing, intentional parasites. It's like a mutually dependent class of creatures. The muggles and the tyrants. You have the people who are knowingly enacting evil and causing all the direct evil in the world, which is a very small group of people. And then you have, and they are all dependent on their victims for survival, which is the general population. And then you have the general population of muggles or NPCs, the unthinking, faith-based, once humans that are mutually dependent on being told what to do, having a direction in life. They say, please, God guide me, politician guide me, someone else superior who can think for me, do everything for me, control me, I don't want to think. And you have those people in the cabal who are the intellectuals who are controlling these willful zombies. And they need to feed on them, just as the willful zombies need to feed on the intellectual, intentionally evil cabal. It's like a mutually parasitically dependent symbiosis. And it's just goddamn ugly. It's disgusting if you could visualize like what's happening here. Just like they've latched onto each other, and they need each other to survive. Like the unthinking zombie can't survive without being told what to do. And it's not even that, because someone could come along and tell them like the good things to do in their life. They don't want that. They want all the bad. They want all the punishment. They want to feel terrible, because they're so guilty, because they know they deserve that guilt. They're fully warranted of that guilt and shame because they deserve it, because they know they've volitionally given up their ability to survive. They've abdicated their ability to reason and substituted it for faith. And so therefore, of course, you're going to feel guilty and ashamed, and you're going to have no self-esteem, no purpose, no direction, and then you'll be begging for anyone to control you in some kind of authoritative position. So that's what's horrible about the muggles. They are so oblivious, and they point blank refuse to wake up. They absolutely refuse. And the reason I'm making this video is because if I kept my mouth shut and didn't say anything, didn't grab you by the shoulders to try and shake you out of your drunken stupor, I fear the worst thing imaginable would happen to me. I would fall asleep and join you in your incognizant dream. Actually, that's not true. Even if no one listened to, and I didn't say anything, I wouldn't fear that, because I know what I know. But that was more poetic, how I framed that. To become like either of those camps, an unthinking, zombified muggle, or a knowing monster, like a Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, no, I absolutely refuse for any of those alternatives to happen. That is not a fate I would be engulfed by ever. And people don't realize that evil is omnipresent. It's everywhere you look. Just when you're walking down the street or you go into a supermarket, there's evil everywhere in the supermarket. You just pick up those packets, you look at the ingredients, and it's just processed garbage and poison. All the numbers in the back, all the artificial ingredients and colors and flavorings and preservatives, just poison, poison, poison. I see that everywhere. And then you go down the street and there's bums sleeping on the ground or begging for money. I think that's evil. What they've done to themselves and how society and the system has built poverty into it as a byproduct. It's just, that's how it's designed to work. When I see monopolized roads, every time I see a road, I understand the evil that's gone behind the building and control of roads, something that we oh so rely upon to function as humans qua humans. The tax on everything. Every time you buy or sell something, there's tax on it. Evil, I see that right there. The NPCs, the muggles, who just walk about their daily lives and just look like they're in a drunken stupor. People smoking, causing evil against themselves and harming themselves. It's like, I've been there in the past, I know from first-hand knowledge, it's an evil thing to do to yourself. Evil isn't just about the harm you cause to others, but it's the harm you inflict upon yourself when it's totally unnecessary and unjustifiable, and especially when you're not a teenager anymore. Rubbish in the streets and people littering, I think that's evil. It's a horrible way to treat the world you live in. Power lines, when I see power lines in the street and I go, well, Tesla, and who knows before him, all these people that invented technology for wireless transmission of electricity, just the fantastic technology we could have if it wasn't for greedy, evil people controlling the world, and the host of humanity who kowtows to their will. Petrol cars, another example of technology gone wrong and stuck in the dark ages. McDonald's, just poisoned food, and if the rumors are true, just mixed up children and human remains. I can't verify that for a fact, but it's a known fact that it's carcinogenic, cancer causing, and just poisonous, toxic. Just disgusting. Chemtrails, you look in the sky, you see evil chemtrails in the sky. Police, just order-following, brain-dead fools who have just evasive mongrels serving a ruling class, just such little consideration, empathy or care for themselves, having no integrity, no honour, and not thinking about what they're doing and being the ones responsible for all the harm in the world. The fake history with old world buildings and just seeing the deception of the lies and being told dishonest, evasive, obscuratory stories about these buildings. It's evil. When you see ugly art, disgusting, horrible art, and even some of this art which is secretly violent and awful. And government buildings. You walk down the street and you see the government buildings, that links in with the old world story. They founded those buildings, and just everywhere you go, everywhere you look, there's just going to be evil everywhere. Like, I'm in an apartment right now and there's this air freshener. I can guarantee it's going to be full of chemicals. Sure, it may make the room smell a little bit nicer, but you're going to be inhaling those toxins. It can't be good for your lungs. What's this here on the table? There's some kind of sugar. I'm sure that's got some bloody chemicals in it that's designed to make you stupid, infertile, attack your hormones, lower your IQ, all sorts of problems. There's just evil everywhere. And don't get me wrong, there's good everywhere too. I'm not just focusing on the evil. It's just that's what this video is about. Being aware of the evil. Be aware of the good as well, obviously. But you need to be aware that good isn't controlling the world. Evil is dominating and has such a stranglehold on the majority of people's minds. And obviously, that affects your life, that affects my life. Like, my goal is to have everyone be as free and as happy as possible, because that will directly impact my life for the better. The freer you are, the happier you are and everyone else is to do as they please, obviously according to morality, the better the world is going to be. The more enslaved, restricted, and the more people's freedoms are taken away from them, the worse it gets for everyone, even the cabal. Evil has claimed the human race as its property and is exercising dominion over this world. And I mean that kind of poetically, but legally as well. That's what the legal system is doing, and the government and the Vatican and all these other organizations are literally taking over the land and humans as their property as well. With the birth certificate fraud, legally, when people identify it as that, well, they're the property of the government at that point. And if you get into the jibby jabs and how it changes DNA, now they're a proprietary piece of material, an object that belongs to their owners. Evil seeks to reproduce and multiply, to disfigure, mutilate, and transform others into itself. Parasitically dependent. That's what evil does. It seeks to make others dependent on them. Whether it's from a mother poisoning her child with jibby jabs or junk food or emotional trauma to make the child dependent on her so then she can have some kind of feeling that she desires. It's not happiness, it's not joy, it's not contentment, it's not pride, but still she wants it because she's so destroyed inside herself because her mother did that to her, or whatever the story is. Or if it's the government and the bank is sending people broke, so then they have to rely upon them with a UBI, a universal basic income. Or if it is religions that make people dependent on the priests and the Pope, or whatever it is. That's what evil does. It creates dependency, creating the welfare state. It's like a relationship between a mosquito and a human body. Like the intellectual evil people are the mosquitoes that need to suck the blood out of people, and those muggles, the unthinking zombies, the NPCs, they want to be a host. Or you could look at it as a vampire and a human's relationship, someone that wants to be physically drained of all their blood from a vampire. Someone wants to have a mosquito suck the blood out of them. People who want to go on a pension, they want disability support, they want help from the government because they don't want to live for themselves. They don't have enough self-esteem or self-respect, purpose, direction, ambition, vision to live for themselves. So they go, someone suck the life out of me. Give me something to live for. At least I can feel worthy of doing that, giving sustenance to someone else who is dependent upon me. I mean, that's one way to think about it, and I think that's quite accurate. Evil is indifference to the psychological existence of conscious beings. Evil people just don't give a shit about your psychology. They're totally indifferent to the fact that you think and can feel pleasure and pain and are a reasoning being, or even if it's an animal. Evil people are just totally indifferent to the existence of nerves, feelings, thoughts, consciousness. Doesn't matter. If it's not them, they don't care. It's like something's wrong in their mind or their brain, and they just haven't got the empathy. They're actually lacking some kind of conceptual faculty to understand how their actions can cause pain to someone else, and they just don't care. Evil seeks to manipulate others into a state of confusion to gain power and superiority. I've seen this in bad relationships where the partner will deliberately confuse to cause chaos and to make the partner look stupid so then they can gain a position of superiority and power over their partner, which is horribly evil. And you can relate this to everything the government and the cabal does to the general population. Evil wishes for the blind obedience of others to use them as playthings. Evil considers others' lives as toys for its own amusement. That's how evil people think about other people, just as their toys, as property, as Play-Doh, to mold them to whatever desires they have. Just as a child would look at Play-Doh, or you and I would look at Play-Doh and go, oh, we can shape it however we want. It's not a thinking thing. It's an inanimate, unconscious object. That's how evil people look at people, As Play-Doh, they have no feelings. Oh, if I punch it, I burn it, I trick it, it doesn't matter because it's not me. It doesn't think or feel as I do. It's inferior to me. It's like the whole Jews with the goyim, how they believe that they are superior and the goyim, everyone else deserves to be enslaved because they're a subclass species of humans that are just nothing to them. Evil is the contradiction. Evil, it has to be always contradictory and hypocritical because I'll tell you how you can identify this as for a fact. Even if you love murdering people, you're evil and you love murdering people, you love raping people, torturing them, stealing from them, deceiving them, you don't want that to happen to you. There's no argument you can make that someone wants to be raped, someone wants to be tortured, someone wants to be murdered, because all those concepts mean against your will. No one wants to be forcefully against their will. No one. Ever. You can't. You can't. So it's automatically hypocritical, it's contradictory. And that's evil. Because someone who's good doesn't go around treating others in a hypocritical, contradictory manner. They treat others as they would treat themselves. That's the golden rule of equity. But evil seeks to violate the golden rule of equity in every way it possibly can. And even treating yourself, because some people smoke and drink and do nasty things to their body, eat junk food. And I don't mean just here and there, but as a constant daily practice. And I've been there in the past and smoking weed too much, and it's an evil thing. It just, it messes up your mind if you use it incorrectly, like I definitely was. Some people, I get it, they can use it in a way that can be healthy and even beneficial, though I don't really think there's anything beneficial to smoking cigarettes. There's not really any arguments to make, except that maybe if you enjoyed the taste and you did it very sparingly. Alcohol, I can understand if you do it every now and again. Okay, there can be arguments made for that, but when it's a daily thing, it's like, well, you do understand that's poisoning yourself. That's causing harm to yourself. That's obviously going to be affecting your body, which would affect your mood, which is going to affect your mind, the way you think and thus act, and the results you get in life. And even if you think, oh, it's okay, I can do it to myself, but would you do that to your child? Would you do that to your partner that you loved or your parent that you loved? Well, no, I wouldn't do it to them. Okay, well, it's showing you that you're doing something that's hypocritical, that's contradictory, and it's something to consider. Like, why would you do it to yourself then? You deserve better. You do. Evil is the belief that the untrue is true, and those who don't believe it deserve to be punished. That you should get jabbed, and that anyone who doesn't deserves to be imprisoned or fined or attacked. That those people who don't believe in the same religion as you, say Christians for example, oh, if you don't believe in Christianity, you deserve to burn in hell for eternity. Like, oh my goodness. They think they're good people. Like, that is sick. How do you get worse than that? Thinking if someone disagrees with me, they deserve to be burnt in hell for eternity. There's nothing worse than that. Like, that's evil. That is so evil. Or even the cabal. Evil is the belief that the untrue is true. They believe that they have the right to trick and deceive and cheat and torture and maim and kill and murder and create these wars and lie and deceive to everyone. They think they have the right because they're intelligent and they have hidden secret knowledge, and that they were born into particular families that have certain philosophies which make them feel superior to everyone else. Or even if they are some kind of alien race, they've got this false idea that they have the right to do things that they don't have the right to do. They're evil because they're believing something which is untrue, and they think it's true, and that everyone else who is different to them, who doesn't believe what they do, deserves to be punished, to be hurt, to be maimed, to be used as Play-Doh, to be smashed and broken apart at will. Evil is always a belief in a false idea which gives one the right to cause harm. It's like the police, for example. They think just because they're the lapdogs of politicians, people wearing fancy suits, sitting in a fancy building, talking absolute gibberish, nonsensical bullshit, they think they have the right to attack you, to break into your home. When you make a Facebook post about going to a rally to challenge the validity of these psychopaths sitting in a fancy building. So therefore, they think they've got the right to cause harm. It's just evil. That's an evil belief, to think you have the right to do such a thing. No one has the right to do that. The most evil people in the world are the most proficient liars, either to themselves or others. And let's think about this. Say, just compare Voldemort to Emperor Palpatine. Voldemort wasn't very intelligent. He wasn't creating some kind of complex, deliberate, deceptive scheme to take over. He was just powerful. And he would just kill whoever got in his way. He was just powerful. Compare that to Palpatine, who had to trick the entire galaxy and deceive them into thinking he was one person, the Chancellor, a good guy, but he was actually the most evil person in the entire galaxy, most evil person the galaxy had ever known and probably ever will. Like, who's more evil? Voldemort, who just went around killing people, or Palpatine, the liar? It's like the lies, it's the deception that just takes evil to a whole new level. One can only be so evil just from committing violent acts and desiring to cause harm and causing harm. It's where there's the manipulation and the deception enjoined with all that physical maiming and harming, but with the lying and the deception, that's what really makes something evil or someone evil. If you don't know evil exists, you're under the spell of evil. Most people, unfortunately, lack the intellectual capacity to understand evil, whether they're so brainwashed and hoodwinked, or if they are just cowardly and afraid and don't want to face reality. They don't want to change their entire view on the world and recognize the fact that evil dominates because it's just too scary for them. And they've believed for so many years that it's just not true. That there's only, a few bad eggs here and there. Like, Hitler, yeah, he was pretty bad. Whatever you think of him, maybe whatever the story is there. Or this villain in actual history and this dictator, Mussolini or Pol Pot, they were kind of bad, but they weren't really evil. There's no one really evil today. It's more a fantasy thing from fiction, isn't it? It's like, I think people in the real world are far more evil than those in fiction. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's true, they are. Like, just the evil that goes into the detail behind creating the Bible and religion, for example, that is just more evil than any fictional character. To create the concept of Jesus, that is such an evil thing to do. That's one of the most evil things anyone has ever done in history and can ever do, is create the character of Jesus and, well, let's say the whole Bible, and create religion. Well, any and all religions, but I'm going to specifically focus on Christianity because that's the one I know the most. Just a heinous, just awful, god-awful evil. And if for any reason you don't understand why Christianity is practically the ultimate evil, when I say it's the ultimate evil, it's like the idea of faith, one of the ultimate evils, I'll say it like that. Go check out my playlist about why the idea of God is unreasonable and debunking Christianity from all the dark matter videos, and just actually think about it for like 5 minutes. And if you don't recognize how evil it is, it's like, well, you're evil now because you're choosing to be evil to yourself, because you are dishonestly evading and omitting the facts of reality. You're willfully choosing to evade, to focus your attention away from the facts onto fantasy, to deceive yourself for some interest in a faith-based belief. And you're evil if you do that. The greatest evil causes the greatest detriment. Evil is unnecessary, consequential detriment. Evil is the belief that the infliction of suffering is the best solution to problems. That whenever people want to solve a problem, just inflict suffering on someone else, that'll solve everything. That causing misery is the most desirable means of problem solving. It is the most favorable way of achieving goals. If you want something, just cause harm to someone else and take it from them. Not only that, it's a superior method of attaining values, but the only method in specific circumstances. For example, what Christianity's done to Christians, their mindset against themselves is, I did something wrong, so therefore I deserve to suffer. So it's a belief that, hold on, there's a problem here, I've done something wrong, instead of going, what have I actually done wrong? What's the right thing to do in that particular situation? How do I correct my behavior And am I going to promise myself that I never make that error again and continue forwards with my new behavior to make sure I don't commit those errors? Instead of doing that, instead of actually problem solving like a rational man, they go, I just deserve to suffer. Oh, I'm so guilty. I'll go to a priest and share my guilt. That'll fix it. Don't actually change the behavior. Don't think about what I've done. Just feel guilty and torture myself and hope Jesus forgives me. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't care, because to them, their lives don't matter. They have no interest in their lives. There's no self-interest. They're not selfish. They're totally selfless. Oh, whatever, because they've given their life over to some hyperdimensional alien monster. They go, you take it. I don't want my life. It's not mine anymore. You own me, God. I'm your property, so I'm not self-interested anymore. That's what they're thinking. Their self has been eaten. It's gone. It's just like a body and a mind that is blank of an actual being there anymore. Because someone who's actually selfish, who's living, who's conscious, who cares about themselves and has self-esteem and purpose, ambition, and can feel pleasure and pain goes, if I did something wrong, I need to fix that shit because I'm living my life. Can't let someone else decide that. I don't want to suffer. Suffering sucks. There's the disconnect there. Someone who gives up their life to something else superior to them is saying suffering, I don't care, whatever, I'll suffer, right? Whereas someone who's real goes, I will not suffer. I will figure this shit out, whatever it takes. I'm not going to suffer. That's the worst thing you can possibly experience is suffering. What's worse than suffering? And I mean, you could say, agony and then torture. I'm including that into the concept of suffering. Or someone else who is obese and they're thinking, I can't get fit, I can't get a partner, so I'm just going to eat myself to death. I deserve it. I don't deserve to have a healthy body. I'm just going to treat my body like a pig shit house, a public toilet that no one has cleaned for the past 6 months, just crap everywhere. And they get these big guts and they can't move. Like, that's evil to do to yourself. To just disregard yourself as a psychological being who can feel pleasure and pain, have no empathy for your own well-being, no love, just to hate yourself and to treat it like a dumpster. That's horrible, that's evil. Again, evil doesn't have to be just against other people. It's to yourself first and foremost. Because only then, when you've been evil to yourself, will you ever be evil to others. And it starts from the ability to think, the choice to think, to be honest and face the truth, face the facts, or to evade. That's your fundamental choice. Do I actually look at what's going on inside myself and in the world? Or do I not? Do I pretend? Do I have faith? Do I wish and hope in a fantastical dream that I have created myself or that I've heard from some authority figure? Evil is the belief that you have the right to cause pain when someone disagrees with you and that you are good for doing so. It's a cult mentality. Essentially, it's topsy-turvy, and the people inside, the countless different cults, they think that good is evil and evil is good. They think the things that you shouldn't actually do to a rational moral man, that you should do. Evil is the belief that others should suffer or deserve to be harmed for disagreeing with you, for not believing what you believe, for not being part of the same cult as you. Not because other people are wrong, but just because they're different. And people hold this as a conscious or subconscious belief. For example, Christians look at everyone else who is not part of their cult as, if you don't believe in Christianity and Jesus and Yahweh, you deserve to burn in hell for eternity. I would have people that would say to me, James, or maybe not directly. On a lot of comments on Facebook, directly. You don't believe in government? You're against government? You want anarchy? You're crazy. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist and you deserve to be locked up. And whenever anyone is saying you deserve to be locked up, they're saying, I want you to be tortured. I'm an evil, lots of swear words, and I want you to be hurt, to suffer. I want you to feel pain, which is a hypocritical contradiction because they don't want anyone to torture them in a cell just because they believe in government. So it's evil. It's evil. Like, it's a stupid evil. It's an evil coming from stupidity. but it's still evil because they're responsible for their choices, for thinking or omitting the act of thinking. Or for example, an old person that says, you don't want to pay my pension? Because I don't want to pay anyone's pension. I hope you get hit by a car. That's what some people would say. They'd say, if you don't want to support my lifestyle when I'm old and I don't want to work for myself anymore, well, I think you should die. That's an evil conception. Say, for example, you've got a parent who has a disabled kid and they view the disabled kid as a problem. They say, you caused me all these problems, so therefore I want to punish you in return, and I know I can get away with it. And I've seen cases like this, and I think it is horribly evil. Having a child and, looking after a disabled kid, if you know it's going to be disabled, abort it before you give birth to it. My goodness, like the obviousness of that. If you don't want to look after a disabled kid, don't have the disabled kid, provided you are aware of that before you give birth. That's the situation I'm talking about. But parents where they torture their child by feeding them poison and jibbing-jabbing them and sunscreen and intellectual poison from watching crap on YouTube or the TV. And they do it because they know they can get away with it. No one's going to stop them from doing it. And there was even a case where I'd heard where people had tried to stop them and said, hey, feeding your child chocolate milk, donuts, popcorn is killing them. That's why they've got constant diarrhea or constipation. They're waking up in the middle of the night, every night, to take Panadol because they've got a tummy ache. They're sweating, you need to take them to the hospital every 2.5 weeks. There's always some problem with your child. You are the cause as the parent. You are an evil, bad creature if you're doing that to your child. It's understandable if you're totally ignorant and it's maybe 50 years ago where there's no internet and you just don't know any better and you go, well, surely not, the government wouldn't poison all this food. I can't be held responsible for that because I trusted, I didn't know about all this processed food. Okay, excusable then. In today's day and age, it's not understandable and it's not excusable to do that to your child, especially when people who know better have been telling you, don't do this, you're killing your kid. That's why they're so sick. So it's pure evil to do that to your child. And there's no amount of, oh, I'm stupid. Yes, sure, you are stupid as well, like literally not intelligent, but that doesn't excuse you because you're intelligent enough to know what you're doing is evil. Yet you continue to do it, to hurt your most prized person in the entire world, the one you're meant to love and cherish and care for the most, your child, and yet you still do that. People may say, who are globers, oh, you believe in flat earth? Oh, no, I'm a globe earther. Like, I think you should go out into the vacuum of space and suffocate to death and find out that, hold on, space is actually real and the world's a globe. What? Just because you believe in a different shape of the earth, some people, evil people, the sheeple, the muggles, the NPCs, would want you dead. That's horrible. In a relationship, for example, there may be, the man or the woman who says, you don't obey my authority, you don't listen to me and do exactly as I tell you when I tell you, so therefore you deserve to be cheated on, robbed, I'm going to use your credit card and buy whatever I want, I'm going to lie to you, when we break up I'm going to steal all your stuff, drag it out in court, cause a massive headache. That's evil. That is just evil. You would have had to have committed many, many crimes against yourself before that level of evil would be capable, anyone would be capable of committing that kind of evil against someone else. Oh, football teams and sports. You support a different football team to me? Well, therefore, you deserve a good punch in the mouth. Like, these people aren't the same species as me. They're just a totally different species. I can't connect with them. Let's go, you're less than an animal. Even animals don't do that. It's just, it's stupid evil. Like, evil doesn't have to be just intelligent bankers and politicians and psychopaths and religious cults and the Palpatine and all this. Intelligent evil is just one side of it. There's the stupid evil, which is the other side of it. They can both only exist because of each other. They're mutually parasitically dependent. The stupid evil never becomes that stupid unless there is the intellectual evil depriving them of knowledge to make them stupid. And the intellectual evil never gets any power over the stupid people until the stupid people give them the power by choosing not to think. They both need each other to exist. Without one, the other can't exist. Without stupid people in the world, the intellectual psychopathic evil people, well, because they can't control people like me and you who say, no thanks, no, I'm not doing any of that. They've got absolutely no power. And the stupid people around intelligent people like you and me who want the best for everyone, who want people to be free and happy and intelligent and to raise the standard of living for everyone, those stupid people wouldn't be stupid anymore. They'd be intelligent. They'd be perhaps not as intelligent as us, but they wouldn't be so stupid anymore. So those two categories, the knowers and the clueless, the intelligent and the stupid, they go together. They are essentially the same thing. Without one, there is no the other. It's like front and back, they go together. The superior and the inferior. There is only a superior and inferior if there is the Pope and there's the people on their knees in front of the Pope. They're like a sandwich. You can't have a sandwich with just one slice of bread. And it's like the good people are the unwilling participants in the middle. We're like the piece of steak that's been sandwiched in between the slices of bread. We're like, we don't want to be here. We're trying to get out. That's why I'm making this video. Hopefully people like you are helping this effort as well. We don't want to be in this sandwich anymore. We don't want to get eaten. They can eat each other. Let them kill and rape and torture each other. They deserve it. That's justice. Because they're both begging for it. They're begging for someone to be ruled and commanded, and then the other people are begging to be controlled and told what to do. For instance, you don't believe in jabby jabs. You should be censored, forced to stay in your home and fined. Let's lock them up, why not? Let's cause harm and pain to someone because he believes something different to me. Evil. You don't agree with the lockdowns? You deserve to have your door broken down, your things stolen by the police, arrested in your own home, choked half to death, handcuffed, deprived of shoes, forced to wear a mask out of your home. Evil. That's just plain evil. And again, I'm giving you all these examples showing how evil is a belief you have the right to cause pain when someone disagrees with you, and that you're good for doing so. These people think they're good when they're thinking evil thoughts, making evil statements, and would actually support indirectly or directly evil physical actions against other people. Or from the Jewish perspective, they are not Jews, so they deserve to be tortured. They are the goyim, inferior class, enslave them all. Evil. Or someone who's really rich and they think, well, they don't have as much money as me, so they deserve to be lied to and cheated. I'll cheat them, I'll steal from them, I'll rob from them. They're nothing, they're poor. They're not a millionaire or a billionaire like me. They're inferior. I will violate their rights. It's like, would you want your rights violated like that? Would you like to be treated like that by someone who's richer than you? Well, no, of course not. Then why are you doing that to someone else, you bloody idiot? You evil, stupid monster. Another example from a police point of view, he doesn't believe in my authority. He's not worshipping me. He's not getting on his knees with his hands behind his back, with his chin on the ground. No, he deserves to be thrown on the ground and hurt. Handcuff him, stick a knee in his back. He's a piece of shit because he doesn't believe in the same cult-like lunacy as I do. So, yeah, I hope those examples made a lot of sense. They did for me when I was writing them down. I was like, oh my goodness, okay. Just unraveling what evil really is. Each morning I go to a cafe, I grab a beautiful coffee, I sit down and I write and I read. I send voice messages to people I respect and think of all these things, whether it's to do with evil or government or philosophy, whatever it is, and it just pours out of me. I'm presenting it to you now. Evil is a belief that the pain and suffering life forms can feel is inconsequential. They're indifferent to the feelings of others. So good people, they judge others by their ideas and their deeds. What do they think? What do they believe in? What do they know? And what do they do? Right? So, but evil people, They judge others by what cult they belong to. Does he believe in jibby jabs? Oh yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's good. He's good. I don't care about what he actually believes and what he does. Just, oh, he's in the same cult as me. Is he a Glober? Yep. Is he vote for Labour or Liberal or Republic or Democrat? Yeah, okay. Yeah, he believes in NASA. Oh, okay, he's good. Is he Christian, Muslim? Yeah, you see that all the time. Think of it. That's just what they do. That's what these evil people do. They go, is that person in the same cult as me? If they are, okay. If they're not, oh, they're evil and they deserve to be punished and hurt, and I'm good for thinking that's true. There's another axis of evil I haven't actually included in the axes I'll show you soon, but it's the innocence and vulnerability or goodness of the victims of evil. That's why it's always more evil to commit evil acts against children than it is to grown men and women, because a child is more defenseless. Oh, it's like what they do to babies when they're born, and they're smacking them on the ass, sticking things into them, putting them on cold scales to weigh them. Just, the baby's absolutely defenseless, can't do anything. Or a child is as well. They're vulnerable, they're defenseless, they're innocent. They haven't had any experience to do anything wrong yet. That makes it more evil when you commit cruel, heinous acts against those who are innocent. So I want to share the core message of religion, because when we look at these axes, religion is going to be one of the points that we put on the scale, you'll see soon. The core message of religion is to sacrifice yourself to others. You are unfit to live, don't deserve happiness, should feel guilty just for being born, and must obey superiors or burn in hell for eternity. You are incapable of thinking and reasoning and must live via faith in higher powers. You are only a pathetic, insignificant, worthless creature. That is the core message of religion. And you ask anyone who's religious, they're not going to tell you that. They say, oh no, God loves me, I'm going to get into heaven, there's these rules, they're good for me. But then you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, that is exactly what it is. And I'm so glad I got out of that cult. I believed in Christianity for a couple of months, which isn't a long time, and it's because I think for a living. I realized how evil it was, and I said, oh wow, holy shit, I just got sucked into a psyop and a half here, didn't I? So I have first-hand knowledge. Oh, that shit is beyond comprehensible how evil it is. Whenever one has to lie, they lose their ability to be freely honest. They become enslaved to the lie. The liar owns them. And remember, to lie is evil. Unless it's a lie in the interests of self-preservation or something, that's a different context. But when people just lie, when they think they're getting some kind of value or interest from it, they're just becoming a slave to a lie. And it's always going to come back to bite them in the ass. It's a trade down, even if it appears to be a trade up, because they just traded away their dignity. Honest ignorance leads to immorality. Dishonest ignorance leads to evil. By honestly not knowing the facts of reality, it can lead you, oh actually it always does, to do the wrong things. Like say a parent who feeds their child garbage, but if they didn't actually know, there was no way for them to know, okay, it was just immoral to do that to the child, but it wasn't evil because they were being honest. They thought they were doing the right thing. But in the example of the parent who feeds their child when they actually know they shouldn't be doing that, now they're being dishonest. That dishonest ignorance, it's not even ignorance anymore, it's just, that's a pure act of evil because they're deliberately evading. They're avoiding focusing their attention on the facts of reality to deceive themselves. Or they just know, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to cause pain. And it seems hard to understand. How could a parent do that to their child? Well, yeah, it is hard to understand. And you might bring it up to them and they say, oh no, I'm not doing that. Well, I can't tell you that they're doing that, are they? They get in big trouble. And they may not even believe it. That's just because they hate reality. They hate themselves and they just block the truth with everything they possibly can. I've got some different categories of evil here, from pragmatic, desire, passionate to purposeful. So say for instance, most people think it's pragmatic. It's practical to be evil. It's practical to lie and to hurt other people to get a paycheck. It's in their interests to steal from people through whatever deceptive practices. It's not that they want to cause harm. They just think, well, I got to survive and this is what I need to do to live. I need to steal and cheat from people. I need to attack them because I'm getting paid by this person over here to do it. It's just pragmatic for me. And then you go to the next level after that, which is desire. And so some people just desire to inflict cruelty upon others. So you get some police, not all police are like that, but all police are evil. Some are just more evil than others because you can't be a cop and not be evil. It's like you can't be a raper and not be evil. You can't be a murderer and not be evil. It doesn't mean you can't correct that evil and become good, because at maybe not any stage of evil, but lots of stages of evil, it's like, yeah, you're evil, but you can stop that. You can fix yourself, correct your errors, vow to never do those evil things again, and be good to yourself and others in the future, and then you can stop being evil. But if you do evil things, it makes you evil. You can't escape that fact. Some people just desire to cause harm to others, whether that's feeding their child poisonous food or the police pulling people over and attacking people and beating them with their batons and pepper spraying them in the face. They just get a great kick out of it. They love it. They love it. And some of them would even go to the next level and they're passionate about it. They're very passionate. They have a love, more than just desire, just a passion, a love, an intense love for hurting. You might get some lawyers who are like this, or some judges who are like this, or some politicians who are like this, and they're passionate about inflicting harm and cruelty and suffering on others in the world. I think the level above that is purposeful, where their entire purpose is dedicated. They're beyond pragmatism, they're beyond desire, they're beyond passion. Their purpose is to cause the most complex, greatest cruelty to the most people, essentially everyone, for the longest time. That's the kind of purposeful evil. Say Palpatine. Palpatine is a great example of that, or the Callow King in the real world, whoever that actually is. Dishonesty is willful evasion and is the key to faith, and faith is the rejection of reason. When one is unreasonable, they will do anything they believe suits their interests. Anything, whether justified or not, because that's what they've become. They're not a reasoning being anymore. When one acts upon faith, they become an unprincipled misintegrator, or a disintegrator, really. Instead of integrating their knowledge into a complete unified whole, they just disintegrate and they rip everything they know apart. Have no principles except the principle of acting on one's hopes and authoritative dogma. Because the highest good, the most good one can be, is when they're being rational. The most rational man in the world will be the most good, because those two are inextricably linked. The most evil is the most irrational, the most blinded by faith, detached from reality, detached from facts, that is just living by a subjective fantasy, dedicated to it. They're purposeful. Evil can be intelligent, very intelligent, but never wise. The Callow King is the most high of idiots, a small-minded, short-ranged fool who thinks he has the largest vision. He destroys everything so he can make an infinitesimally small kingdom for himself. Instead of making a paradise out of the entire world, he wants to build a gilded cage. The Callow King essentially translates to the child king, king of children. I've said this a few times in other videos, but callow is a synonym for fledged or fledgling, and unfledged, a baby bird that hasn't got any feathers yet and can't fly properly. It's immature, it's just been born. And so the Callow King is a baby, thinks he's the most knowledgeable and powerful person in the world, but is still just an intellectual baby, a philosophical child, and can only be a king of other children who are like him, who don't want to face reality, want to live in this matrix, a totally different parallel dimension. That's why I call him the Callow King, the child king, king of children, because only children, intellectual children, can be ruled. Those like me and you who research and study this topic and take life seriously. How can you not take life seriously? It's like you are you living your life in the world. It's like people say, why do you study all the time, James? Why do you look into all this stuff? Because I live in the world and I kind of want to know the world because I live in it? Duh! My goodness. The obscene dishonesty and evasion of people just to ask that question, why are you so interested in studying? It's like, how far away from your true nature do you have to be to ask a question like that? Evil will always have an answer to justify itself. The good requires facts. Evil requires rationalization. The good works upon principles, the evil, pragmatism. The good thinks long term and the evil short. The grey is the black. When you commit evil once, you become black, because you can't be evil all the time. No one, not even Palpatine, Voldemort, is evil all the time to everyone. It's just non-functional. You can't do that. So evil, you can only be evil sometimes. Imagine Palpatine, for example. If he was evil all the time, he'd kill Darth Vader, he'd kill all these stormtroopers. Well, then he's got no one left. He doesn't have an empire anymore. Voldemort, he'd kill all these Death Eaters, he'd be torturing them, they'd just all be dead. You can't be evil all the time. That links back into, because people say, well, someone just did an evil thing. They're not fully evil. Well, sure, they did an evil thing, but are they doing anything to correct their mistakes? They still being evil, day after day after day. That's what it means to be evil. You don't have to have every interaction with everyone be evil. Just needs to be with one other person or yourself. That's evil. It's like you have a serial killer and he only murders 1 out of every 100 people he comes across. Oh, he treats 99 people well. Surely he's not evil. He can't be fully black. Well, the grey is the black. True evil, the intellectual evil, wants to be evil. It knows right from wrong, good from bad, and chooses to do bad for pleasure, excitement and happiness. That's why the knowers, from the politicians up, the politicians, the bankers, the evil philosophers, the people associated with religion like the Pope and High Priest and whatnot, and the Callow King, they are true evil, where the people on the other side of that dividing line, the police, the voters, the Christians, the muggles, the NPCs, they're a lower form of evil. Still, it's absolutely still evil what they do, but they're not true evil because they're not trying to be truly evil. They don't actually know right from wrong. They don't understand morality. But true evil knows right from wrong, and they choose the wrong. They choose the bad for pleasure, for excitement, for happiness. The evil one probably understands good from bad better than most other people. Well, they would, apart from people like me and hopefully you. They do everything they know they shouldn't because they want to, because they can. And that's how they get their kicks, because they can get away with it. You could argue and say that these people aren't evil. They just want power, and evil is the best tool to get it. But then that's what evil is. I've heard some people say that evil is just the absence of love. Well, maybe that's a small part of evil, but evil it's the presence of something else. It's the presence of cruelty, the presence of purpose and passion and desire to inflict pain and punishment upon others. It's not just the absence of love. Though, sure, that's a big part of it. We could maybe say it's more the absence of empathy, compassion, care, consideration. Or it's the absence of reason. Being able to use reason, really, because reason encompasses all those other things. Reason encompasses care and love and empathy and compassion, because all those things are only a product of reason. You can't have those without reason. How can you love without reason? You can't love unconditionally. That's evil. I made a 3-part series about that. It's demented. One, if you try to do it, it's evil, it's stupid. And 2, you just can't do it. All love is conditional, and it should be. That's a very good thing. Because otherwise, what will end up happening if you have unconditional love is that you'll end up thinking you love these kinds of evil people. And they will eat you up for breakfast and spit you out. Evil is a desire to kill life, to invert life. To kill someone doesn't just mean to end one's physical life, but more importantly, to kill one spiritually, to kill them intellectually. Oh, there's multiple layers there. It's like to kill one's mind in this world so they don't become someone. They're just a selfless, empty shell. The purpose of evil is to kill. No, it's more than that. It's to violate the golden rule of equity in every way possible. So to treat someone else in ways that you know you don't want to be treated in every single aspect possible by doing all kinds of atrocities to them.